Hello and welcome to 50 Fabulous Knits. My name is Pia. I am a Danish knitter coming to you from Italy, where I am living with my husband Peter and my little dog Feely. Whether you're new to this channel or you are a returning viewer, I want to thank you for spending some time with me. I really hope that you will enjoy this episode. Today, I am not wearing any knits. It's a hot one today. Not that I'm complaining, but I just couldn't bear the thought of putting on knitwear. And this is all the more so because I often on the podcast will wear my latest finished object. And here you go. This one is the winter version of my new pattern, the Oleander. And it is beautiful, and it is yummy and cozy, and it is everything, but it's also warm. So I really hope you will forgive me. I will be wearing this on a later podcast for sure. I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of this one. It is exactly like the summer version. The only difference is the yarn choice and then the fact that this one has long sleeves. In the pattern for the Oleander top, I do include the instructions for making long sleeves. They have not been tested, but I include them as a bonus feature of sorts. I don't think a winter version should be its own pattern because really not a lot of difference. But it is this top-down sweater with a round yoke and some easy lace work on the yoke. It is not cropped, but a relatively short sweater, and this one is knit in Drops Air. The original top was more of a summer top. I knit that out of Drops Bell, which is this cotton linen viscose blend. Drops Air is a much warmer yarn, but I will say it's a blow yarn, so it's not as heavy as if it was indeed a regular woolen yarn. But yeah, the pattern for this is available on Ravelry and on my web shop, and I will of course link it in the show notes below. I have one more finished object. This is just a tiny thing. It's a little ribbed hat that I made for Lucas, my coming grandson. And actually, I knit this because I needed some car knitting. Last time I podcasted, I told you how Peter and I were going on a little trip to the Toscana area. We're in Lombardy up here, so we wanted to go and see the Toscana region. And I needed some car knitting for the trip. So I cast on for this little hat. There's no pattern for it. I used Drops Lima, which is a worsted weight yarn. I used a size 3.75 needles. I think maybe that's a US 4, something like that. I cast on 80 stitches and just knit a 2x2 ribbing until I ran out of yarn. Then I threaded the yarn through all the stitches up here and just tied it off. I do have some really nice pom-poms. They're back in Denmark, so I think I'm probably gonna add a pom-pom to this one. I actually think I'm gonna knit one for myself as well. Yeah, I think it would be really cool. Yep, I'm definitely gonna do that. perfect core knitting, and I'm gonna need that, but more about that later. I am still knitting on my Sunbed jacket, the thing that I showed you on the last podcast, a copy of my grandmother's old bed jackets. She used to have these small, beautiful, like, not jackets, more like a cardigan, but without any clothing in front. It was basically a pair of sleeves and then some beautiful lace work to form a body. She would knit hers out of the softest, most beautiful, precious Angora. And I wanted to recreate her bed jackets. So what I did was I took some sock yarn, held it together with a silk mohair, and then I knit a sleeve. Then I knit straight to be able to go from one sleeve to the other. And then I knit the other sleeve and just bound off down here after the ribbing. And then I picked up stitches almost all the way around this long tube, except for some stitches for the neck. And I have just knit down from there in this super fun lace pattern. It reminds me of little spiders. Doesn't it look like little spiders sitting in their web? I don't know, maybe it's just that I like the spiders. So, but yeah, it's super funny to knit this pattern, but it takes a lot of time. But yeah, it'll be beautiful, and I don't think I have to knit much further. I tried it on last night and I'm almost there. So when I'm there, I'm gonna finish it off with either some teeny tiny ribbing or an I-cord bind off, and my Sunbed jacket will be ready. This is much heavier than my grandmother's bed jackets, so I'm not gonna use it as she did when she was sitting in her bed reading. She would put these little jackets around her shoulders to keep warm. This is way too heavy for that. I'm gonna use it as a cardigan, and I think it's gonna be absolutely beautiful. The yarns that I'm using the Drops Kit Sock in the white color, and I'm holding it together with two different sock yarns. The one that I used for the sleeves and the upper back is from a Danish hand dyer called It's Yarn. It's her sock base that's called It's Socks. And the colorway is called Fiftyfabulous. And the other yarn, of which I have a little bit left, is from Long Dog Yarn on her bound sock base, and the colorway is called First Blush. I really did play a little game of yarn chicken when I was doing the sleeves. This is how much I had left when I had bound off the sleeve. Yeah, I was trying to knit with my fingers crossed, but I mean, this is more than enough. But yeah, I was a bit nervous. This I have plenty of, for sure. I'll be able to finish it. I had planned that if I should run out of this one, I would just knit the edging around in a white sock yarn that I have laying around. So, but there'll be plenty of this. And I really love how the two colorways are working together, and I'm loving how this cardigan is knitting up. So yeah, can't wait to get it off the needles, because the evenings down here can be a bit chilly, and I think I could get away with wearing that one in the evenings. The other thing that I'm working on is actually a pattern that I have knit 4 times before. It's the family sweater. You see how I knit it for Peter. I knit it for 3 of our grandchildren. And now I'm knitting one for myself. Mine is not going to be 2 colors. It's just going to be one single color because I had this wonderful, wonderful yarn that I wanted to use. And yeah, I do realize that it is almost black. I do think that maybe, yeah, in this light, you can probably see that it is not totally black. It's of course completely blown out, but you can sort of see that there's a little brown in it as well. It is the Nightshades from Harrisville Design. The label is here. It's some American Cormo. That's a type of wool that I have never tried before. And I must say, I'm loving it. It is so scrumptious. You just want to squeeze it all the time. It has this very unique feel to it. And it's knitting up so beautifully, I think. This will really allow the pattern to shine. Yeah, I think it's gonna be absolutely great. This is my daytime knitting because knitting with black in poor lighting, no one wants to be doing that. So this is my daytime knitting, and that's why I didn't make a lot of progress on it. Maybe I should look into getting some more light for the evenings. But for now, I have plenty of projects. I'll be fine. I did write up the adult size pattern. The pattern for children is already out, and now I also wrote up the pattern for adult sizes, and I am looking for testers. If you're interested, all the information and a link for an application for the test knit is on my blog, and I will post the link in the show notes below. There you can see all the sizes, the measurements, what yarn you're going to use, and the deadline, and all this. And then there's like this little button that you can click if you want to contact me about test knitting it. The pattern is a unisex pattern. I am knitting from the same pattern that I used for Peter's version, just a slightly smaller size. The only difference between the men's and the women's sizes are the length of the body and the sleeves. Of course, the raglan, it's relatively deep to allow for shoulders and upper arms on men, but I really like this deep raglan fit for women as well. So there you go. I hope that some of you are interested in test knitting this, and I hope to be able to release the pattern in late September. For now, I'm just enjoying my cornrow, my beautiful nightshades. I probably need to get some more the next time I come to the US. The third project that I am working on is also a new cast on. For some reason, I found myself craving gables. I don't know if that's a thing, craving gables, but it happened to me and I needed to go with it. For a long time, I've been wanting to rework one of my old patterns, this one called the Milestone. It's a beautiful cabled sweater, but the pattern was not good. It had a lot of mistakes in it. It was only in one size, and also I hadn't paid enough attention to the details in the construction. So I rewrote the pattern and I started knitting. Here you go. Here's my cables. Yay! I'm very proud of myself. This is actually the shoulder, or part of the shoulder. So this part goes in the back, and this part will then form the neckline. I am gonna knit this from shoulder to shoulder, or rather, I started here in the middle with a provisional cast on. Then I'm gonna knit all the way out to this shoulder and then pick up the stitches here and knit all the way out to that shoulder. Then I'm gonna place all the stitches on hold because I'm gonna use those for the sleeves later. I'm gonna pick up stitches all the way around to then continue knitting the cables down for the body and finally for the sleeves. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had with this pattern, I'm sure. I'm really enjoying this. This is my I'm focusing knitting. And actually, all my 3 works in progress are knits that require some attention, but then I can always go pick up my half and half wrap if I need some mindless knitting. The yarn that I'm using for my Milestone is this. It's Drops Lima, a really nice wool alpaca blend that is soft, warm, robust. You can do anything to this yarn, and it's a very budget-friendly yarn. Plus, it really it works very, very well with the cables. It really allows the cables to show, and still it has just a little bit of grip to it, so they don't like fall apart as cables can sometimes tend to do in a superwash or in a regular superwash merino. So yeah, really excited about all my cables. As I just mentioned, Peter and I have been on a short vacation in Toscana. We went to Siena, Lucca, Pisa, all those beautiful little cities that are spread all over the Toscana region. And I, of course, needed some souvenirs. So I got these. 2 skeins of Malabrigo sock in the colorway that is called Turner. I really love this colorway. I don't do green. Green is so not my color, but I couldn't help it. This was just too pretty to leave in the shop. So now I'm gonna try. I even know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna knit this one, my chicken knit. Again, an old pattern that really needs some love and attention. So I am reworking that, and then I'm knitting a chicken knit with this Malabrigo for the body, and probably also for some long sleeves. And then these 3 colors for the color work. And these are all scraps from previous projects, but I really think that they go together well with the green Malabrigo. They are all my own hand-dyed yarn. I really hope to be able to dye some yarn soon, and I really hope to be able to offer international shipping. So fingers still crossed for that. It should be coming within the month of August, maybe. That was it for the creative content this week. A lot of knitting, but mostly on new cast-ons, which of course means that the things that I cast on a couple of weeks ago has more or less fallen to the wayside. Actually, I frogged one of them, the little scarf I was knitting with the beautiful hand-dyed yarn I had from Stress Knits. I frogged it. It wasn't, the pattern wasn't doing the yarn justice, so yeah, I'll find another project for that very special skein of yarn. Other than that, I've just been enjoying life. We had some beautiful days in the Toscana area, just driving around. Our plan was to be away for a week, but the weather changed again. We had 4 days of sunshine and then the rain started, so we canceled our last reservations and just drove back home to brave the rain here, and then we know that we have a nice long weekend waiting for us at some point. But now it's beautiful again. The sun is shining. Everything is just, yeah, la dolce vita. What can I say? This is absolutely wonderful. Next week, we are gonna go back to Denmark for a couple of weeks just to visit family and friends. And Peter has some loose ends he needs to tie in. And actually, I have just been noticed that supposedly there is a box of undyed yarn that just arrived in Denmark. If that is true, I'm probably gonna dye up some yarn when we're home. But yeah, yarn supplies have been difficult. Let's just say difficult. We're going with difficult. But until our trip back to Denmark, I'm just gonna relax. I am gonna work on my new patterns. I'm really looking forward to the test knit for the family sweater. I will have to say that I have stumbled into this designing patterns in the most unprofessional way you could imagine. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I knew how to make a pattern, but how to go through the process of tech editing and testing and publishing and the whole social media. Yeah, it's been quite the learning curve, but I hope that I have a better setup for it now. Now I'm gonna put some footage from our trip to Tuscany. It was amazing to see how different Tuscany is from Lombardy. Up here, nature is super dramatic. It's these tall mountains. I mean, we're on the backside of the Alps, so it's rough, it's rugged, it's very dramatic. Where in Tuscany, it's these soft rolling hills, and it's completely different. Both are beautiful, each in their own way, but it was funny to see Tuscany again. It's been quite a few years since we were there the last time, so we did enjoy ourselves immensely. I hope you will enjoy the little film, and then I hope to see you again next time.